All right, let's talk about something real. If you're over 40 and trying to lose weight, you probably know the feeling. What used to work just doesn't anymore. So today, we're going to take a really honest look at Citrus Burn. It's a metabolism supplement that's been making a lot of noise. But is it the real deal, or is it just another bottle of hype? Let's find out.
I mean, it's a question so many of us are asking, right? You're doing all the right things. You're eating better, you're trying to move more, but that weight, especially that stubborn stuff around the middle, it just won't go away. It is so frustrating. It honestly feels like you're fighting a battle against your own body sometimes.
And this quote from a user review, wow, it just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? Once you're past 40, that weight doesn't come off just because you try a little harder. It perfectly sums up that feeling. It's not because you're lazy or not trying. It feels like the actual rules of the game have totally changed.
So what is actually going on here? Well, first off, it is not just in your head. It's this tricky mix of lifestyle and biology. We might be moving just a little bit less than we used to without even noticing. Stress, not getting enough sleep, that stuff totally messes with our hunger hormones. And on top of all that, we start losing muscle mass, which is like the main engine our body uses to burn calories.
And this right here, this is the core of the problem. It's something called a metabolic slowdown. Basically, your body gets less efficient at burning calories for energy. Instead, it gets really good at storing those calories away as fat. It's almost like the body starts to prefer storing fat over burning it. So, and this is the key takeaway, you're not just fighting against the food you eat, you're fighting against your body's new default setting.
Okay, so this is where a supplement like Citrus Burn comes into the picture. But, and this is a big but, before we even get into how it works, we need to be super clear and set some realistic expectations. We have to talk about what this is, and maybe even more importantly, what it isn't.
I love this because it just cuts right through all the usual hype. Look, Citrus Burn is positioned as a support tool. It's a botanical-heavy formula that's meant to gently support your metabolism. What it is not, it's not a magic pill that melts fat. It can't target belly fat. By the way, nothing can do that. And it is definitely not an excuse to forget about diet and exercise. Think of it as something that's supposed to make all your healthy habits work a little bit better.
Okay, so how exactly is it supposed to offer that support? Well, to get that, we need to talk about the science a little bit. We're going to look at its main mechanism, which is something called thermogenesis.
So what is thermogenesis? In the simplest terms, think of it like your body's own internal furnace. It's always burning calories to create heat and give you energy. The problem is, as we get older, that furnace can get, well, a little less efficient. So the whole idea behind a supplement like this is to gently help that natural calorie burning process along.
You might have heard this catchy phrase, the orange peel trick. Now don't worry, it doesn't mean you have to go eat orange peels. It's actually all about the science of a specific compound that's found in Seville oranges. It's called P-cyphinin. And what's interesting is that this compound has been looked at in over 20 human clinical trials. They've studied its effect on metabolic rate, basically how many calories you burn.
So Citrus Burn takes that Seville orange and combines it with a whole team of other key ingredients. You've got green tea extract, which is known to help with fat oxidation. That's just a fancy way of saying it helps your body burn stored fat for energy. Then there's berberine, which is really interesting for how it helps with glucose metabolism and insulin sensitivity. That means it helps your body use sugar from your food for fuel right now instead of just storing it as fat. Throw in some red pepper to boost calorie burn after meals and Korean ginseng for energy and stress, and you can see it's a pretty well-rounded approach.
All right, so those are the ingredients, but let's talk about the big question. What kind of results can you actually expect? Because this is where a lot of people get tripped up. They expect an overnight miracle, and that's just not how this works. What user reports tell us is that progress is slow, it's gradual, and it's all about consistency.
And this timeline, which is based on what real users are saying, is so important to understand. In the first few weeks, the changes are subtle. You might just notice your energy is a little more steady, or you're not reaching for snacks as much. Then, by the first month, maybe your appetite feels a bit more under control. It's often not until month 2 or even month 3 that you start to feel a real difference, like your clothes fitting a little looser. The takeaway here, you've got to be patient.
And this, honestly, is why that 180-day money-back guarantee is such a big deal. They give you a full 6 months to try it out. That completely covers that realistic timeline we just talked about. It basically lets you give it a real fair shot to see if it works for you without risking your money.
So let's put it all together. What's our honest verdict here? Could Citrus Burn be a good fit for you? We're going to break down the pros and the cons to help you decide.
Okay, on the pro side, the formula really seems to align with the real barriers people face, like flagging energy and annoying cravings. It's also stimulant-free, which is huge. No jitters, no crash like you get with those old-school fat burners. Now for the cons. This is not a magic pill that lets you ignore your diet. You still need a calorie deficit. The results are gradual, not instant. For some people, there might be some mild digestive upset. And really important, if you're on any medications, you definitely need to talk to your doctor because some ingredients can interact.
So, who is this actually for? Who's the ideal person for citrus burn? Well, it seems best for women over 40 who just feel like their metabolism has hit a wall. It's for people who find themselves getting derailed by cravings or stress eating or just feeling too tired. And it's for someone who wants gentle support without harsh stimulants. And probably the biggest thing, it's for people who have realistic expectations and understand this is a slow and steady process.
And this is a dietitian's playbook for how to make something like this work even better. Remember, a supplement is just one piece of the puzzle. To really see results, you have to pair it with smart habits. For example, anchor your breakfast with protein. That'll help keep cravings away later in the day. Try taking just a 10-minute walk after one of your meals. It does wonders for how your body handles glucose. And of course, try to get some strength training in a few times a week to keep that precious calorie-burning muscle.
Which really brings us to the big question for you to think about. If you're already putting in the work, but it just feels like an uphill battle. If your routine is pretty solid, but your metabolism just feels like it's stuck in first gear, could a support tool like this, one that's designed to address those exact hurdles, be the missing piece of your puzzle?
So, if you've listened to all this and you're thinking, hey, this might be the kind of support I've been looking for, the most important thing is to make sure you're getting the real deal. Head over to the official website. It's the only way to get the genuine product and make sure you're covered by that awesome 180-day guarantee. We put the link right in the description for you. Thanks for hanging out with us, and we'll see you next time.